All right, guys, welcome to another Deal Structure Sunday. What I'm going to do this week, as I like to do from time to time, is take a small clip of the High Six private mastermind groups. We run them every week. There's like 5 groups. Myself and Stephen Murdock, certified coach and chairman's member, did this particular call. And in the call, it's really cool because we have a student, John Bristol, that's been really grinding it out. He's doing an awesome job. Awesome job. And as he grinds it out, he learns and stumbles. That's normal. That's how you get better. It's like when you have a financial challenge personally, you get what? Financially smarter. So in this particular clip, you're going to see that John's been working on this deal. Now, this deal, to give you some context, has been worked on by John. He initiated it as a student, but as an associate, he gets to pull me in. He gets to pull Steve in. I did a call to this builder. He's a developer, and he has $1.5 million house, and it's been sitting around since June and July. Now the conversations change. And I called him on John's behalf and arranged for what we call an AO deal, an assign out deal, where we don't get all 3 paydays because this is an experienced individual that doesn't need us in the middle. It's a great backup option. It's quick cash and we move on. We're out of the deal. Negative, there's no write-offs or anything long term, but it's okay. It's another strategy that we teach. And the point of you watching this is to see the kind of support that we throw at the students. And then how do you structure some of these deals? We talked to him a little bit about this and another one that he's working on. Enjoy the clip. Hey guys.
How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Hi, Chris.
Howdy ho.
Yeah, good.
We waiting on anyone, Dr. Steve?
We might be, but either way, we're 11 on the dot. I'll let them in as they come. So we can start with a positive focus. I'll just go right across the screen. Corolla, if you want to give us a positive focus.
I just got off a Zoom with one of my Sensi leaders and we only talked mindset, and that was very helpful, very positive.
I love it. How about you, John?
I just called my potential AO, and he's sounds like he might be pretty close to signing.
Oh, that's very cool. Let me know how we can help with that, John.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. That's the one that we looked at recently and got out.
Yeah. Both you and Chris have been helping me immensely with this.
I love it.
Thank you.
Perfect. Great progress. Kyle.
I'd say my positive focus is Jose there. I was struggling a little bit yesterday and we had a good conversation and I got my ass in gear and we just kept charging yesterday. So thanks, Jose.
Hey,
Got Jose, right to you now, buddy. Beat that.
well, yeah, it's gonna be hard. Not a problem, Kyle. Hey, my focus is training is something you do every day. That's it.
I love it. Never stops. I love it. Paul, positive focus.
Positive focus. Honestly, had a great time with my kids this last weekend. Went out and played in the snow. So I'm in Phoenix, so we have to drive to do that, but it was fun.
Love it. Very cool. How about you, Chris?
I got my office set up here in Rhode Island, so I don't have to necessarily trek to the office. So that's good. Finally.
Very good. Positive focus for me. I have on Saturday a annual tracksuit party for Christmas, and my tracksuit just came in and it is beautiful. So I'm very excited about it.
Can you take pictures as usual, please?
100% I will. I have a headband and everything. Chris, did you want to start us off with anything specific?
I just had a few things as always, right? On my mind when I'm on these with you guys. And I didn't just in order as I came up. One was the word needle movers seems to be confusing some people on the weekly reports. So our fault. So I think Steve's gonna ping Kelsey to change that wording. In the meantime, just for you guys to know, because you hear it in other like motivational talks and stuff we do. The needle mover is to get to a goal. So it's the action steps, basically. It's the lever you pull to get to the goal. So example, I just think of things that come up this week that made me do this. So Adam would put for a needle mover, get 2 under contract. No, that's not a needle mover. That's a great end result. A needle mover is what's the lever you can pull to ensure you move closer to getting to a contract. That's a needle mover. Brett, my coach, used to say from Elite, Chris, what are the top 3 things you can do this year as a CEO? And I think high and give him 3 and you go, okay, if I only let you pull 1 lever, what would it be? And it's the biggest thing that would push things forward. Does that make more sense? Okay.
Yes.
So think about that for 24. Side note, aside from the definitions that we might have messed people up on, Think about that for 24, the way Brett asked me. What are the 3 biggest things? And then I know his tactic now, but at the beginning, be like, what do you mean 1? Yep, just if I only let you do 1, what is it? What's the biggest one?
Yeah, you can reverse engineer it too, because obviously the end goal is the takens, but now for me to achieve this end goal, what are the steps that I have to take action wise to get there?
Yep. And then you're going to have a slew of stuff. And as Steve said last week, you've got to discipline yourself to then say, what's the 1, 2, or 3? And then what's the 1 for this quarter or month or whatever you're working on. Make sense, guys?
Mhm.
Any questions on that?
So the forum was talking about needle mover for the week, right? So, but we're talking more like the thing, more of the long-term thing that I'm working on.
Both. You could have a needle mover, like some of you leave me needle mover at night, you leave it for the next day, right? You can have them for the quarter, Paul. You can have them for 24. I was with Dr. Van yesterday. We were talking about the entire year, 1 or 2 things. So yes, you can break that down any way you want.
A suggestion, Dr. Amanda always asks us every month to come up with 3 key ones.
Yep, I have that on the list today, actually.
And so that's something I always focus on to say, what do I want to focus this month on? And those are the 3 ones. I make a sticker, put it on my computer. I look at it every day and making sure that I stay focused that month on those needle movers.
You have 3 in front of you right now?
Yeah, what I do is I put it in a book that every time I do my journaling, and what I do is, like, for instance,
hold on, what are your December or your November if you still work on December? What are your
for December, my needle mover is listening, better conversations, okay, and persuasive, being persuasive.
So I'd encourage, I'm going to ask you guys every week, but who's on Inner Power?
Right.
Great. So you guys know she does it every month, right? 3 words. You could use your needle movement. Yep.
Right.
So I encourage everybody to do that. Okay, good. Any other discussion around like the needle movers or anything like that? Good. Okay. Yeah, let's put that in play for 24. That was 1, Steve. The words, actually, I was going to bring that up to bring up Dr. Amanda. And then if you guys want, I hit Kyle this morning when I critiqued one of your calls, Kyle, which I thought was awesome. And it just got me in the mindset of, if any of you guys want a strategy session with Steve and I, we've done a few, like we did Sean and his team, and we set up an agenda and we set up a follow-up, some pretty strong accountability. So if any of you feel like, I'd like a strategy session around my 24 plan, Steve and I can take somewhere between now and January 1 and work that in. It just might further you a little bit with your current plan other than us critiquing it. Next week we have a 2-day offsite. Why? Could we do a lot of this virtually? Could we write a plan? Yeah, but it's different. So if you guys want that, Steve and I'm volunteering you, Steve, again, but you're okay with that, right? Yeah.
Of course.
I hit Kyle on that this morning. Kyle, I just felt like listening to you call, I'm like, man, you're like, I feel that way about a lot of people, but you're this close to just like popping it. So I just feel like if we do that, push it.
I think that meeting gives you a real depth of clarity on what you've come up with as your plan. Just from what we did with the SMD Property Solutions team, I just feel it made things very more real instead of on paper, and just be able to get very intimate with, okay, I have these plans, I actually have these KPIs, these metrics in this plan, but like to hear it for them, for a whole team, so everybody's on the same page. It's the same thing with you guys, even if you're individuals, getting very clear on what this is going to look like, even though you have it in front of you. If for some reason it hits differently when you really discuss it in depth and get multiple perspectives on how you can hone that in.
So you guys put that on the thread to Steve and I, okay? If you want to schedule one of those, we'll do our best to squeeze it in, or we'll have Shana maybe coordinate it for us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, last week we actually talked about, because I needed some help with the business plan, and I did not hear anything from Shana yet. So I'd like to definitely set that up. I don't know if that's the same as what you're talking about, but
yeah. Why don't you message me and Steve on our thread?
Okay.
Okay, and then that way if we have 4 of them or 6, whatever, we'll hit Shana all at once and maybe block some time out where Steve and I can be in the mode, because it is easier for us and just go boom, boom, boom.
All right, I will put a message in there and then we can get that set up because I definitely need some help with that.
Steve, I think that'd be good if we're in the mode, you and I, we do them back to back if we can.
No, it's fine. And I guess, Krill, I guess my question to you is it more or less how to get started on it? Like what specifically is the question?
Well, last week we talked about the business plan and
We did tell her to get with us. Yeah.
Okay,
Actually, now
okay.
say that. Yep.
Got it.
Okay.
So-
Good reminder. Thank you. What did you, never mind. I don't need to know your message. Just message us. We'll get it done.
all right, okay, thanks.
Awesome. Okay, that's good, Steve. We'll bang those out. The other thing I had was I'm gonna jump on the mastermind call with Nick. I just decided that, Steve, so you wouldn't have known. I put it on the coaches channel. And we're gonna spend about 15 minutes Thursday, so please try to be on, or please be on unless you have a commitment, and talk about the buyer side, because there's a lot of nuances to the buyer side that I don't think is resonating. And Steve brought up the other day, we're not spending enough time on it with you guys. So because people automatically think, I get a deal, I'm gonna get it sold. There's a lot of variables on that taken, never mind on the sold. So Nick and I are gonna go through and then we're gonna do some Q&A. I contemplated a video. I'm like, what the heck? It's year end. I'll just get on and we'll go through it together. It'll be fun. So that'd be Thursday night, right at 5. We're gonna do that. So make sure you're on there. Because it really is. Let me just give you guys a hint. It's like Steve and I brainstormed this yesterday. I think back to when I was just me before Nick came on. I needed a deal to sell, like I needed oxygen. So I'd be like, I remember being in my apartment going, if there wasn't enough leads coming in for buyers, I'd create another Craigslist account and I'd post like a madman. And then 4 hours later, I'd do another one, post like I just did whatever it took. They needed a sale. And I knew in my brain, if I did that for this month, I'd have a sale next month. Same thing, taken this month, sold next month. That's the way I thought about it. And I just did whatever it took. And now Steve and I were talking about this, like we have net processing, all these things that are automated. That's great, but don't stop there. Like whatever it takes, jump on Facebook groups, jump on whatever you got to do and get that baby sold. So we're going to talk about things like that, and we'll go a little more technical, just to give you a teaser.
Yeah, you made a good point too, and I won't go too deep, so you have stuff to talk about, obviously, on Thursday. But your first couple takens, your first couple properties on the market, remember, you're at the beginning stage of a place you haven't been before. So the reason why in the beginning a lot of us are sold conversions are lower than what the community standards are because of both factors. It's not just the buyer side, it's also the seller side. When you're new, you may construct deals that aren't as good as the one that the ones that are going to be the next ones, right? Just like when you're selling a house, you're learning on the fly, and you're going to get a lot of feedback from this first, whether you sell it or you don't. You're going to figure out what is working and what's not working, and you're not that much better on the next one and the next one and the next one. So that's something that we all don't have the right expectations for. But I can tell you right now, from my first couple that I got under contract and also looking at the deals that I structured, you get better and better as this goes. The better deals that you structure, the higher ability you have to sell them, and so on and so forth. So I thought that was a very quick, good point that not everybody considers, Chris, that you mentioned when we were talking yesterday.
Well, because that's why you see people's soul rate go from like 40%-ish and they're pissed off to 80 and sometimes 100, like Rick and Mike have 100. Why did Rick and Mike have that kind of rate? It's the way they structure the deal. They're not doing anything crazy in the buyer end. They're structuring the deal way better, way tighter, way different. And when Rick was new, he didn't know how to do that. He just came to us and we did it with him. So just be careful. That's all. And know that there's no set thing. Anyway, that was my hit list. I want to dive into what you guys want today. We got year end here, so I don't care what it is. I want to make sure it's what you guys want. First, let's do what we did last week, Steve. Does anyone have we encouraged you to, so I hope someone has a call they did that they want to talk about, or an appointment they did, or an appointment coming up. Those 3 things. Remember, we did, it was pretty productive last week by doing that. So I don't know if you have any of that going on.
Well, I didn't do any calls that I have to talk about. I do have 2 follow-ups. One is tonight. It's the one that I talked to you about, Chris. I did some comps, and I'm going to call him that what we can offer him for his house, because that's what he wanted. Remember, I said it was a little bit like backwards. The guy that works in the skiff. And then I have somebody that wanted to talk to her partner about it, and she looks pretty open for it as well. That is what I have going on right now. We've been busy with the VAs last week.
Let's do the VA next. I have a question on that, actually. Thank you for bringing that up. But on those 2 calls, do you have any questions or clarifying things you need from Steve or I or anyone?
No, No, it's pretty much, setting up the appointment.
Okay.
For them to say yes, because both of them are actually like 2+ hours drive.
That's right.
So I just want to make sure that, we're at least close to saying yes,
And you can say that a few times on the call, by the way, if they feel like they're being pushed and you feel that tension, you could say, look, I just want to make sure you're opening. We're at least open to getting this thing to the finish line before I come out for 2 hours. Just be honest.
Yeah, I did say that to somebody not too long ago, and he says, well, then I guess you're not interested enough. I said, well, I guess I'm not then. Yeah. I mean,
Well,
hey,
that's kind of odd because I turn it around and say, actually, I was just thinking the same thing.
yeah, I mean,
Not
hey,
you.
good luck. Yeah. I mean, so anyhow, so that is for me for calls.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Other calls or appointments, guys? Anything on the horizon? Or sometimes I'll critique a call and tell you guys to bring it to the call. And I don't remember who I tell that to. So
Just quickly, Chris, if I was asking you yesterday about how to approach Bob Hartman there about his he was kind of reluctant to cancel with his
yeah.
with his realtor. Well, so I called him this morning because Sue Skipper had messaged me and said that he had reviewed the DocuSign, but he did not sign it. So I figured, well, this is a good opportunity for me to get a hold of him this morning and see if there was something on it that he didn't like, or or
Yeah.
did everything look okay. He said, how did you come up with the monthly? And I told him what we were talking about. We don't know until we get on the market, what we're going to be able to do monthly. He says, well, 7,500 isn't going to cut it. He goes, in my math here, what it's not going to work. I could tell he was on a calculator doing some numbers. He goes, what are you going to go on the market for? I said, 1.6. He said, is the buyer getting 100% credit for every payment that they're putting towards the
Of course
total?
not.
And he says, well, that's the I don't know, this doesn't seem to work, or whatever. I said, well, I'll tell you what, we can kind of smooth this all out. I said the big thing is in order for us to take this and get it on the market, you need to cancel with your realtor. And I was telling him what you were telling me to tell him. And he didn't realize that. He's like, oh yeah, I guess you're right, that they are going to go to sleep. The realtors are going to go to sleep this month, and he hasn't seen any action. And that he's like, oh, I didn't realize how hot it was for you guys right now. So I think that kind of put the ball in motion, got his wheels turning a little bit. So he says, I'll get back to you this afternoon.
Okay, so it's important. Couple things in there, you guys. One is what we're talking about is the word canceled. His guy said to him, yeah, my realtor can cancel it, but they'd still have it till the 31st of December. That's because your realtor is going to withdraw with a right to relist. This is all states. You want to make sure it's canceled, just so everybody's clear on what we're talking about. So John educated him and said, no, you want to cancel it so they can let you go. They're not going to do anything anyway. It's the holidays. Like, let's be honest here. Okay. Now, as far as the number, John, when he said the monthly, I would have right away said, what do you want me to go on at? It's your house. But as long as you're open, Bob, to if it's crickets out there and I'm not getting it, the market's telling you and I, we're on the same team. The market's telling you and I that we're too high, then we'll adjust. Are you open to letting the market tell us? Then let's go on at what you want. That's an AO.
Okay.
This is an AO, correct?
Yeah. What's
All
the
right.
mortgage rate at 20% down? What's the payment at 7.5% at 1.3 million for the heck of it, or 1.2 million, like in that range? What's the monthly payment?
You said 1.3
Roughly, it could be 1.2. I don't know what they're gonna put down, but yeah.
and 20% down?
No, it's 1.6 with 20% down. I was just ballparking it.
Oh, and you said what? A 7% interest?
I don't know what jumbo's at. It's got to be 7.5 now.
7.5. Okay, so 7.5, 1.3 million with how much down on the calculator?
No, just use 1.3 as the loan amount.
Okay, so no money down. 9,090 a month.
So there you go, John. You're in that like 8 to 10 range. What did he think?
I think originally he had said 10 to, I'm sorry, 8 to me.
Okay, he's
That
in the
was-
range. Just tell him where you got the number. I ran the jumbo number. The buyers are going to look at that, and it's up to you because I'm not in the middle getting a spread. Whatever you want. The buyers are intelligent in your price range, as you know, Bob. and they're going to look at roughly what they're going to end up paying. We got to be like within range there. That's all you got to tell them. But yeah, let's go, Bob. Let's look at it and let's review it in 40 days. We're a team.
So here's the correction script wise before you send out agreements. I know you guys heard me talk about designing a deal a million times, but when you get to the point of before you send out an agreement, you should be having the conversation, which you probably did, but especially the monthly, right? What's the monthly that you're looking to get? And you find out.
Actually, Steve, we emailed them everything but that, didn't we, John?
Yes.
Yes, we kind of goofed
everything
on
except that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so next time, and then what I usually do is I get the monthly amount he wants, and then I just get confirmation. Say, listen, for whatever reason, if 8,000 a month isn't getting any traction, I'll just let you know, and we can decide whether we want to adjust that number down or stay on the market at that price. That's you just giving him the expectation that if for whatever reason we find out that number is a little high, we're going to communicate. We'll come up with a plan together. But that's the best way to have that nice fluid. They received the contract. Everything looks like what we talked about. I'm just going to sign it and move forward in comparison to having, some kind of bump in the road. Doesn't mean that you're not going to get it signed. It just means it's just the fluidity of the relationship with the seller.
Right.
I want to know, John, if you're good with that, I want to know if everybody's tracking with us on this AO, because the language is important to set the expectations. I'm finding some associates not setting any expectations, and the seller don't really know what they get into. That's not going to work for you. They're gonna pull out, and you're gonna waste all the time.
Yeah.
Is that helpful, John?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Each step of this that Steve and I are hitting you on is kind of cool, because you're like, you just kind of keep stacking your knowledge. And I think you're gonna get this one, but it doesn't even matter because you get smarter because of it. It's like when you have a financial hiccup or anything in general, and you get financially smarter.
Right. Well, the crazy thing is just last night, my last of my 80th call, because I was trying to make up for my loss on last Friday. I got almost the exact same deal. The guy's living down in Florida. It's a $1.5 million house, and he's open to possibly at least purchase. So I sent him
you pull Steve and I in, please, at the very point where you go, okay, I need some help. And you bring it.
I will, absolutely.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But not surprising. Can I tell you why? First of all, I can feel your energy is different than 2 weeks ago. Number one, I don't know if Steve can feel that. Number two, when you come off of a deal like that, you're like, that's the best time to pick up the damn phone, because you're like, I just did that, because Bob's eating out of your hand now. Pretty much, he's working with you as a partner. Great.
Right.
Now go get another one, and another one, and another one.
Will do.
What I would say too, and this is hopefully helpful. Yesterday, I posted a scripts and dialogue call. It's super long. It says it's 28 minutes long, but it's really 20 minutes long. As the first 7 minutes, I'm talking to Jess before we called the seller. The seller emailed Jess with 15 freaking questions.
Oh, you got that guy?
They're all doomsday questions, right? So I literally sat there and answered one question after another. But what's important is outside of the answers that I'm giving him, is I'm answering them and I'm moving on confidently. I'm not sitting there and stewing, and I just answer questions like, okay, that makes sense. Okay, I wasn't giving him an area for him to question it. It's like, this is the answer. This is how it works. And I moved on to the next one. So the whole reason why I'm saying this is confidence and how it is that you like that thing that I said with you just now about we were talking about the script on the monthly, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm not asking for any feedback back. I'm just saying, hey, listen, if for whatever reason we get feedback that says that this is a little high, we'll have that conversation there. I'm not saying, hey, can we have a conversation if it doesn't sell? No, I'm not asking that. You're opening up an objection that doesn't need to be there. It's a rhetorical statement. This is what we'll do if we get there. For whatever reason we do get there, you're just setting you're setting an expectation that also makes them feel comfortable, right? You give people too much room to think and make decisions, you're going to put yourself in a position to have to answer questions you don't want to answer.
Did you tag everybody? Because that's a super important Q&A call. Like, they could play that over and over again. Did you? Okay.
I'll go back and I'll
remind everybody today.
I'll go back and I'll tag it to channel. I think I just I think I might have tagged the scripts and dialogue, but not channel. But I'll go ahead and do that. A couple of people have watched it and given feedback, but
Wicked Smart, hashtag Wicked Smart, hashtag announcements and channel.
Yeah. So what you guys want to do is you just want to really focus on the cadence of the answers. Obviously, the answers are going to be helpful for you to know how to answer them, but like, people mirror your confidence. Like, if you sound confident, they're confident in you, right? If you sound like you have a definitive statement and this is how it works, they can say, okay, whether they like the answer or not. They're not going to come back with like this aggressive, I don't like that thing. It's just how it works. And they know that they have room to make the decision. We're not negotiating. This is just how it works. So just take a listen to it, and hopefully it's helpful for you guys. But it's confidence is really all it is. You can have the same answers, but if you're not confident, you get different results.
Remember the line, guys? Not what you say, how you say it. Super important.
Yeah.
And you're gonna hear Steve through the whole call do that.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. John, you are armed now. You are armed to call this guy.
It feels good.
Good.
Yeah.
I love the momentum. Seriously, into, and that is true. They're all sleeping on the realtors, so let's get after it.
Sure.
Cool. Any other appointments, calls, anything like that we can help you with? That's live stuff you can run with.
Or I don't have anything specific. Or in the future, though, we did in the past, where we would bring our leads to this meeting, and then you guys would do some
Yep,
calls.
second week of the month, so that's next week.
Okay, cool.
Yep. And you can do more. Sorry, Kyle. You can do it like if you have one, on an off week, please don't hesitate. Go, I'd love to hear that. John, same thing. You got the other guy you got to call. If you queued it up right, let's call it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
And if you didn't queue it up and you want Steve to call it like he does on the office visits, he can call it as if it wasn't a VA lead too, right? You just call it like he's in that area. So it just doesn't matter.
That'd be
Okay.
good though, if you guys can book if you can look for a call a piece to, I mean, I don't know if we'll get through them, but a call a piece to book to some
next week?
between 11 to 12 that you could call into somebody and just plan for that timeline for them. Give them a little bit of a window, and maybe you can, text them when you're gonna call them shortly before, but that would be a great idea for you.
Let's remind everybody today, Steve, for next week. That's a good idea. Yeah, good point.
You're a good lead there. Follow up.
Love it. Yeah, Kyle, we're gonna get a little bit more aggressive with that in 24 now for 24. And then the first week of the month, like it would be this week typically, we're gonna start in 24 looking at the prior month. How'd you do in your plan? Are we on? Because you guys are all doing plans, like it's pretty much we're helping you with it. So we should be able to dial you into it. And if we're off in month 2, we need to know why, and we can adjust up or down.
Mm-hmm. And think too, right? Like outside of it just being a follow-up, even if you have somebody you sent an offer to, like if you can schedule time
Anything.
for us to get in there and review an offer and answer questions to see what offer looks good so we can get an agreement out to them, that would be a cool call to do as well.
Yeah, you could treat Tuesday next week as an appointment, like a full appointment. Somewhere between this hour, we're gonna call you, my partner and I.
Mhm.
Love it. I marked it down, Steve, so I'll hit everybody.
Kristen, just so I know, what's the typical way? Can like we do a call this way where like say Kyle brings somebody in and he wants to call with us and he just introduces, like, can we do that on this call? Or how are we able
What do you mean?
Like, does it have to be where just me or you are calling, or is there an ability so we're not echoing and all this other shit where the student can go ahead and say, hey, it's blah, blah, blah. I'm here with Chris. And then.
I think it'll be a little weird just
Okay.
because we're not set up for that.
Okay.
I see what you're saying, yeah. Yeah, might be a little weird.
Okay. So you'll tell your seller that one of your partners, either Steve or Chris, will be giving you a call, and we'll just decide on the call who does what.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
I got a follow-up question from a comment you mentioned earlier, Chris, about the take-ins and why Rick and them are getting 100% sold. He said it was how they were structuring the deal. I guess my first question is, on the starting out the beginner level, how many take-ins on average does it take for a person to get a sold? Is it like 5, 6 take-ins and it's about a sold?
Because there's luck involved, I'm going to go with, it could be 100, but I'm going to go how low it could be. Of course, an AO can back out. So putting AOs aside, you can be as low as 30, 40%, right? Until you get it down pat. I remember like it was yesterday, so many of the associates, Don comes to mind, Steve, Brian comes to mind, call me like totally annoyed, going, I got 10 and I got only 3 or 4 sold, totally annoyed. And we said, all right, well, let's rip it apart. Like if you rip apart, poor John, I keep using it, but if you rip apart John Hoopengarner's, he's got condos, he's got 1 bedrooms, he's got AOs. It's like boom, boom, boom. All these signs of, okay, low sell, low sell, low sell. Right? So you got to rip apart. If that's your metric that we got to work on, then we got to work on it. I think you're going to pop yours. I don't think it's going to be an issue, but we got to look at that if someone's suffering from that. That's all.
The big piece. I could say the big, because I had so many AO takens and there's a lot of them I didn't sell. And one of my biggest mistakes on the AOs were not not making an aggressive monthly plan when they weren't selling. I was keeping things at similar numbers, where now we have price drops, right? So well, we always should have price drops, but with like my lease purchases, my owner finance, and my sub twos, I had kind of control over how much money I wanted to make monthly. So
Right.
those, for whatever reason, I was marketing correctly and I was making the drops properly. But with the AOs, because I was scared at the time to ask the seller, and I wasn't saying any kind of expectation earlier that we'll move the price if we need to, I was worried about that. So I wasn't moving the monthly, and the monthly was just staying the same. And I wasn't selling houses because from whether it was day, you know, 3 weeks into it or 3 months into it, I was getting the same feedback that things were too high. So that's the part of like designing the deals on the front end with the sellers that makes it so much more sellable. On the back end, it's one that you have to give them the expectation that for whatever reason we need to make these any kind of movements if we're not getting play. I just want to make sure you're open to that, because that's what's gonna sell the house the fastest. Then when you have those conversations with the seller, is getting an idea, well, what's your have to no lower than in comparison to where we are now, so now I can make a price plan that incrementally moves within the space you're giving me. And then on the other side, right, is on the seller side, the buyer side, you just got to stay disciplined to like what Nick is saying. And like when that date comes, and it doesn't matter when that day comes, you have to stay strict to this plan that was designed up front. So that's kind of,
I know Nick can get blunt with that, you guys. It's just because he's done like 700 and he's so brain dead from it. Because a lot of people call me, oh, Nick was hot on me, or I couldn't get, he just knows that if you do A, B, and C, you might waste your time. That's all. He just knows it. He just, yes. There's little patience for it. So you just got to be aware of that.
Yeah.
Kyle, I was 68 to 72% when I had experience going into it, but that's when I was like kind of in Steve's mode. Like I was taking any AO back. I was just taking because I want to get them sold. I mean, I want to get cash going. So I knew if I had, Nick and I had as many as from 8 to 18 on our whiteboard at any one time, I knew that X percent of those weren't going to sell. And I would call the sellers and the AOs every single month, if not more aggressive, going, I know it's not a big deal to you, but if we can lower it $100, I would just work those numbers so I could keep going.
Okay. And then you mentioned structuring on the front end. I think you talked about there, Steve. Is it the overall price that they're kind of getting a little bit low, like Rick's getting a little bit lower?
Price and monthly, if there is room.
Yeah.
Like Mike's about to sign a deal right now. The lady's ghosting him a little bit. But I know when Mike gets it taken, because he's very he's always been conservative since 2017. When he came in, he's like, what if the market does this? What always? So his deals are always handpicked. He doesn't take a bunch. When he takes them, this Slim does. So it's just the whole deal. Like he wants everything to line up, the stars line up perfectly. And when he does that, he doesn't have a problem selling them. I don't think he's ever not sold one.
But here's something that's very important that unfortunately you can't speed this up. You're going to have to take properties under contract. You're going to have to deal structure certain deals and not sell them, or have things happen that weren't to go to plan for you to be able to take this feedback, adjust, and not make these mistakes again. So it's unfortunate when it's really like you're super excited. I got a property and you start counting money that's not there. Like this is going to happen to everyone. But I can tell you right now, when I started to get a really good understanding of the properties that I do sell and the properties I have difficulty on, now I start filtering through things very differently. Then I become a lot more picky because I don't want to run into those same mistakes. But at the same time, those mistakes that you make in the beginning, as unfortunate as they can feel inside of you, they're so important for you growing in the future too. And you really shouldn't avoid that, because you learn a lot more from your deals that could have been better than the ones that obviously go well,
Yeah.
And everything's renegotiable, guys. Notice I said renegotiable because you already did one. You're in the deal with someone. If you're feeling crickets out there, I keep saying, if you're feeling there's no activity, that might be a time to go back to the drawing board. Just be honest. No harm done.
Yeah. Try not to get blocked by the you protecting the seller from the information you have to give them. It's you're either not going to help them, or you're going to try to help them by reconstructing this. And you think that these conversations, they feel so uncomfortable in the moment, because the last thing you want to do is in your brain, you're telling yourself, I don't want to lose this deal. If I have this conversation, only one thing can happen, and it's going to be negative, right? But the realistic side is the seller wants to sell this just like you do. Obviously, you guys both have financial parts in this, but at the same time, you got to start looking as in you're helping and not trying to save this deal you're going to lose. When you look at it that way, now you have a mindset that's full of scarcity and not abundance, and you're avoiding conversations that are very important, that are going to be the difference of you actually being successful and helping them. So don't go into the mode of protecting your sellers from difficult conversations. You're not protecting them. You're actually doing the opposite.
In all this, there's another side of the coin. That's patience. There's one thing that I would be the one pushing to put a buyer in, and Nick could be like, just wait, just wait. So he'll tell you if he thinks, you know what, you're at the end of the rope, you might want to renegotiate. If he doesn't say that, just have patience. Bad as you want to sell it, just have patience, because he's popped some that I was ready to take someone else on, and he's popped a much bigger check. Just by, because he gets it's a pulse when you're doing it every day. There's a pulse there. Before him, I was by myself, but he's up the bar and made that a little bit more sophisticated process, way more than I used to do.
Yep. Just know that when you do have those sold, you're going to have perspective that you didn't have before, that you can't 100% grab a hold of right now. You can hear the information. Once you get there, you're going to have a completely different perspective on why the other ones didn't work and which ones did. Go ahead, Jose. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, it's fine. One of the things that I learned of it when I was going through, and I had 3 takens at one time, is you also learn what you're going to be saying in future deal making, structuring, because now you know the importance why 90 days is better than 60 days or 30 days. And so you know what to tell your seller, setting up the right expectations. And so that's one thing that I really learned from that when you're talking to new potential sellers.
Jose, you had the one of your own that we sort of redid and changed the use, and then you had 2 more, and then so you had 33% sell basically.
Yeah, and I had 3, and but all of them then going through the sales process with Nick, I really learned what he means, why maybe a 1-bedroom, 1-bath won't be as marketable as a 2-2. Okay. And or why a penthouse might be, I had a penthouse one. It was beautiful. The price was great, but it went the full 90 days and I wasn't able to show it even once. And you had apartments similar all the way around it. I dropped the price on that all the way down as far as I can go on it, and still it wouldn't move.
So in hindsight, there were tweaks you would do. Right away, I'm hearing in a condo I would have done more than 90. Like there's things you would have done differently.
Correct. Yeah. So
it's good stuff.
It's good.
Good. Anything else, guys? John, the other thing you'll pick up, and if you guys are good, we'll wrap. But the other thing you'll pick up, Jose sort of said a piece of it is the second Bob signs, if he decides to sign, your language changes on the next deal. Yep, I just put an agreement down the street and we're going to get that one done. And your whole language changes to the next seller. And the confidence goes up automatically. You don't have to think about it. As soon as your first one pops. First taken, yeah. First sold, even more.
Right. Well, I mean, having walked through this first one as far as I have, the conversation last night with my last caller was so much easier. It was just so much. It was right there on the tip of my tongue. So
if I were you guys too, on the mastermind call Thursday night, that's what these calls are for. A non-urgent topic might perhaps be, and maybe Steve will remind you, is why don't you pick Mike and Rick's brain and go, hey, I kept hearing you guys have close to 100. Give us one nugget. What are you doing? Chris said you're conservative. Mike, what are you doing? Like, just why not? If you know there's people doing it, why not figure it out sooner than later?
Yeah. I would ask specifically too is, can you give us something on both the seller and buyer end that makes you feel makes your homes more sellable?
This is what those calls are for. Everybody will gain, by the way. So whoever brings that up, everybody will gain.
We all want to hear that answer, not just you guys.
Yep. And I would, so this goes along the lines, and then we'll wrap, guys. This goes along the lines of what Steve and I said last week. Bring live calls, bring live appointments. Okay, well, how about go with live, like, okay, give us one nugget, guys. This is an area I'm suffering in, or I think I might need help in. Give us one nugget. And let the coaches go. They'll do it.
I just wanted to talk about my VA real quick, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, sorry, we didn't go back. Go ahead. We'll do on that. We'll do that as the last thing.
Yeah, so we onboarded MJ. We're done with the whole process. So
You're living still.
you what?
You're living still. It's okay.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm actually very proud of myself because
should be.
Raven didn't show up for 3 days and he was sick. And then we were like, well, maybe David called him and told him, and he just totally, you know, disappeared off the
Yeah.
earth. And then on Friday, he started dialing. And we're like, oh, what the heck? Because I mean, we had told him.
You messaged Dave, yeah.
Yeah, we had told him that starting Monday, yesterday, you know, he was let go.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't want to let people go over text message. So I actually texted him and I said, hey, I'd like to set up a meeting. So I actually talked to him face to face.
Good for you.
Told him, you know, that we really appreciated him, that he has a lot of qualities, you know, told him all the good things, that his English is perfect. He has a good
Well done.
personality. It just didn't work out. So I'm very proud of me for myself that I didn't like hide behind David. I just really, you know.
I think it's an excellent job. These guys all heard you stressing on that last week. So that's a huge win. I hope you
Yeah.
put that as a win. It's not a negative win. It's really good.
No. I see it as a win because we
You
worked
just
hard
grew.
on getting MJ on. We made videos when we had our first assistant. So we gave her that. We spoke to her. We met with her without David too.
Wait, tell these guys what videos you made, just of tasks, right? I just want them to know that you did that because now you lost someone, you just plug in the videos, right?
Yeah, so we made videos on how to work follow-up boss that we use and what we expect, like in a nice way, like how we work, how we like to do the tasks and how we set up everything. So we only did it once and we used it already 3 times now.
Yep.
So
That's a nugget, guys, for sure.
Nice.
For the future. Because as soon as I'll pick on John and Kyle for a second. As soon as you guys get past your second payday 1, I'm just 2 or 3. I did this with Rick. We're gonna start thinking about team because you have cash flow. And then start, now you're CEO, now you're a little bit more of an entrepreneur versus solo. Be fun.
yeah, so I'm
Sounds good.
excited to get this started with her.
Good for you. Bravo. That's a
Yeah,
good
good.
way. That's a good win. Yep.
That's huge. That's huge.
Good.
And you affected that. That VA is most likely going to be much better now for this. If the person has longevity in the company, I bet you that this is going to be a great learning lesson to focus on skill set or something like that. Just not have it happen again. So there's a lot that good came from that.
Yeah, good job, Corolla. You'll build on this too now.
For sure.
Sounds like especially John, Kyle, Jose, you're there too. You get and Corolla, you guys got all like you're building. Awesome. So you know what you're doing Thursday night? You have a game plan for Thursday night?
Yep.
All right. What else? Were you gonna say something, John? Sorry.
No,
Good.
I just agreed. I said, yep, we got something to do for Thursday
Good.
night.
Well, good. You got 8 minutes to go do some extra dials. You can probably get 6 of them in.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you guys Thursday. Steve, I'll see you in about an hour.
You
Thanks,
got it. Bye,
fellas.
guys.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Have an awesome day. All right, guys. So I thought you'd enjoy that little clip. Let's do this. Let's make sure every single one of you are able to get to the Wicked Smart Summit event coming up in March, because we're going to rip apart deals on that on the stage there. You're going to meet John Bristol. You're going to meet other high six that you saw in that call. And I will tell you, 24 has the potential to be super historic in a lot of ways. I'm going to talk about it on the weekly Wicked Smart sit-downs. If you're not already seeing those, they're every Thursday at 4 o'clock. They're free for you. They've been running since, gosh, I don't know, 16 or 17? 2016 or 17. So come see us every week on Zoom, 4 o'clock. Go to smartrealestatecoach.com/events or just email support@smartrealestatecoach.com. And for the event ticket, go to wickedsmartsummit.com. We'll see you in March, guys. Make it a great week.